Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined as always by the man who has just been looking up recipes for custard. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I'm very well. The listeners might be able to hear. I'm like sitting like a Bond villain here with a cat on my knee. That's what I am.
We've just spent 15 minutes trying to start recording, but Greg's cat was a little bit loud. Never mind, just wants some attention, doesn't he?
Because my family are away, and normally, like as you can imagine, my daughters lavish him with attention whenever he wants it. So he's probably maybe feeling a bit unloved. So
and you've just effectively locked him out of the room for 2 hours so you can chat shit to
exactly,
me. And
exactly.
He's probably not too happy about it. So that's fair enough. I understand. It's quite all right. How are you? Have you ever made custard from scratch?
I haven't. No, I'm not. Custard's one of those things that I wouldn't. It's not something that I would have in the house. But if somebody made me some custard, I'd be really pleased. You know what I mean? It's like a once in a while sort of treat. Are you a fan of custard?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I had custard, but yeah, I'm a fan. I used to love it. Yeah, my mum used to make custard not from scratch. It was birds.
Nothing wrong with that.
A tin or a packet. But yeah, I used to like custard back in the day. I haven't had it for a long time. Anyway, I'd imagine a lot of our listeners are on the edge of their seat. Do we have any Deacon Blue update from the last episode?
No, Dougie Vipond has chosen to ignore us. Ricky Ross, I think I mentioned he did respond when we were recording last time with a bit of a cynical, there's lots of games left still to play, no response. I don't think they're up for it, unfortunately.
Nah, never mind. Well, of course you're heading to Scotland very shortly. So have you got anything exciting planned when you're there?
Well, I'm taking my daughters. My wife's going to London to see a friend overnight. So my daughters and I, we've got a bit of time, just the three of us. And Glasgow is our oyster, as they say. So I thought I might take them up the West End, take them to the University Cafe for a Sunday and maybe walk up to the Kelvin Grove and let my oldest daughter get a bit of an idea of, because if she goes to university in Glasgow, there's every chance that she'll be living there. So, so I thought we'd do that and maybe go for a walk around the Botanics. Yeah, go in the Clockwork Orange, as they call it, the subway, I think the shortest underground train line, I think, in the world. The easiest to read subway map, certainly, in the world. It's only one line. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, mainly I'm just looking forward to getting some fresh air about me, because you know what it's like here in the summer. Well, what it's like here all year. It's just it's either warm or hot, and it's often dusty. So I'm looking forward to getting a bit of fresh air about me. And of course, I'll be coming to see you as well in a couple of weeks. I'll be in Amsterdam.
Yeah, you certainly will be. Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah,
sure.
We'll get something sorted when you're here near the time. Looking forward to it. Wonderful. Well, I hope you have a lovely time in Scotland. And shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last couple of weeks?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, what have you seen this week that you'd like to share with me and our lovely listeners?
So this first story is very much in the sort of Swally tradition. It comes from the Daily Record on the 19th of July. It reads, Scott's shopkeeper, nicknamed Rambo, tells how he fought off a gun-wielding armed robber. So this is Khalid Mahmood, 65. He disarmed the masked thug with his bare hands after the pistol was pointed at him during the hold-up at his shop in Edinburgh. The grandad of 11 battered David Mackenzie, who apparently is known as Crackers, over the head with his own weapon and bundled him outside.
Jesus.
Brave Khalid managed to pull the robber's balaclava off as they fought in the street, prompting Mackenzie to tell him, "Listen, Rambo, it was only a joke. don't tell the police. Mackenzie, 35, is a past customer who was also armed with a knife, and he was caged at the city's High Court, which heard that he had 33 previous convictions. Khaled,
wow,
who is a former amateur wrestler who's been known as Rambo for decades, told the Record, I'm glad he got 8 years. It was overwhelming at the time, but I would do the same again. It could have been my wife in the shop instead of me. My customers have been very supportive. They call me a hero, although I wouldn't say that about myself. Khaled was behind the counter in the Granton area store when the robber burst in at around 7:30 on a Sunday morning. The father of 4 said he had a pistol and said, "Give me all your money, you bastard." I didn't really have to think. I grabbed his arm and twisted it. He was quite strong, but I got the gun off him. He turned to take his knife out at the same time, but he dropped it. When he picked it up, I was already hitting him with his gun. The gun was a very heavy, old-fashioned type of gun. We ended up outside the shop fighting hand to hand, and I dropped the gun. I wanted to see his face, so I managed to pull his balaclava up. He pushed me and I fell over. He had the knife, but I don't think he used it because the balaclava was off and I could see his face. I knew him as someone who came into the shop, although I didn't know his name. I said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he said, "Listen, Rambo, it was only a joke. Don't tell the police." I told him to fuck off. Mackenzie fled on a push bike and was later detained. He was later detained by armed cops at a Granton flat. Khaled underwent a double knee replacement 2 years ago, which left him unable to run, but he was still able to fend off his attacker. He said, "I was an amateur wrestler when I was younger, training at the gym at Napier College when I was a student. I did some boxing too, so I've always been able to handle myself." Khaled got his nickname when the first series of Rambo movies were topping the box office. He said, "Back in the 1980s, I got a Land Rover and I fixed it up similar to a Jeep that Rambo had in a film, which I was going to drive to see my family in Pakistan. Later, a neighbour of mine who is ex-army and I got involved in a disagreement, and the Land Rover got burnt out."
Jesus Christ. It's a hell of a disagreement.
We had a fight and I won, and the name Rambo has stuck ever since. Khaled said family members have urged him to give up the shop that he's run for the past 13 years following the incident, but he has no plans to retire. At Mackenzie's sentencing on Monday, Lady Judge Haldane commended the quite extraordinary courage, as she to quote her, shown by Khaled. Mackenzie denied assaulting Khaled and attempting to rob him on October the 10th, 2021, but he was found guilty after trial. He was convicted of possessing the knife and the firearm. Defence counsel Ian McGregor, cracking name, said no ammunition was found with the firearm and it wasn't capable of firing in its condition. Yeah, so there he is, old Rambo of West Granton. If anybody's interested, you can go on the Daily Record website and you can see the video from the shop security camera of Rambo taking crackers to task and tried to rob him. What do you think of that?
What an absolute legend. Good on him. I mean, Jesus, that's got to be terrifying. But I guess at that moment, adrenaline just takes over and you think, no, you're not fucking taking my money. You know, I've been working hard for this, so yeah. Fuck you. And that's fantastic. I love the fact you recognise him from coming in the shop. Yeah. And the guy said, do you think the guy said, "Sorry, Rambo, it was only a joke"? Or is Rambo said that because he wants to be
I don't know.
Called Rambo?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's just, you can sort of imagine one of these bloody little sort of fannies when they've been rumbled, just sort of trying anything to not get in trouble. You know what I mean? I just like the fact that Rambo told him to fuck off.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, God, fucking hell, good on him. I mean, amateur wrestler and a bit of boxing, so he's not someone you want to mess with. So good on him. And as much as I think in the past we've had a few newsagents and things that have fought off robbers, but they've had pool cues, Thor's hammer, a bendy metal rod. But he's just done it with his bare hands. I mean, that's impressive. And the guy had a gun and a knife. Yeah, I mean, so the gun was obviously deactivated, but he didn't know that at the time. No. So, yeah, that's impressive.
I just like the fact that he took the gun and used it to batter the guy with it.
Yeah, to batter him. Brilliant.
Pistol whipped with your own gun.
On him. I would like to go into more detail of how he got the nickname Rambo. So it's because he had a Land Rover that looked a bit like a Jeep that Rambo drove, I presume, in Rambo 2. First Blood. First
Part
Blood
2.
No, First Blood Part 2. Yeah. Great. That's a good nickname to get just because you've got a similar car.
I know. Yeah, he's got form for fighting with guys because he battered like an ex-army guy. Had his Land Rover burnt out.
Oh, maybe that's why he got the name.
I watched the first 2 Rambo films, I feel like, recently. And they're bizarre because the tone from the first one to the second one is quite different. The first one is obviously it's sort of, it's quite a psychological story about post-traumatic stress and about a bit of a statement on guys coming back from Vietnam and adjusting to society. And the second one is just like a classic 1980s action film with like every 1980s action film trope. You can imagine.
I totally agree with you. It's bizarre. First Blood is an incredible film. Exactly as you say, it's about, post-traumatic stress. It's about how Vietnam veterans probably felt coming back to the US and being effectively just thrown back into the country and left to get on with their own devices and how those things can affect you. An incredible film, really. And you're right, like 2 and 3 is just even more bonkers. 3, he's like taking out Apache helicopters with a bow and arrow and stuff. It's just fucking mental. But I wonder if it's because with audiences, the end of First Blood tested well, because the end is a bit of a kind of action set piece, and I wonder if they were like, right, we want more of that. We don't want him hiding in the woods. We want more action. We need more explosions. But it's incredible.
Part 1, intense character study. Part 2 and 3, just about killing communists all day long. Killing communists in the jungle, killing communists in the desert,
basically. Oh, and I mean 4 and 5 are quite similar.
I always forget about that.
Yeah, I mean 5's a little bit less. That's more like taking it back to the streets.
Is that Last Blood when he creates like a sort of house of horrors for the people that are trying to kill him?
He does a Kevin and creates this. It's basically over. 4's I think that is it. Cambodia or Vietnam? I mean, Cambodia. I think that's set in.
The violence in that one is just ridiculous. He's literally punching holes in people.
Yeah, it's like less Rambo, more Jason Voorhees. And I wonder if that's why with Last Blood they were like, let's strip this back a little bit again and just have a bit more of a kind of realistic tone to it. But still nonsense. Oh fuck, I might watch one of them tonight now, actually. Kind of in the mood for that.
Anyway, that's Rambo, the hero newsagent of Granton. What's your first story this episode?
My first story is from the Daily Record this week, Greg, and this would have been perfect for 2 episodes ago when we did For Those in Peril. So this is about a dad who thinks he's quids in after finding rare whale vomit worth £40,000 on a Scottish beach. But experts say it's sewage. Ronnie Humphreys, 42, claims to have discovered a 2-kilogram haul of now, I might mess up the pronunciation of this. I really should have checked, but ambergris. I'm gonna stick with that for the rest of this article. Ambergris on Leven Beach in Fife. He is convinced the substance is legitimate, but experts have written it off as sewage grease. Ambergris, often dubbed floating gold, is produced by sperm whales. It is used to make perfume, which can be worth millions, despite being little more than vomit. Dad of 7, Ronnie, says that he is ignoring the expert's opinion and is hoping to sell it for a hefty sum. He said, "That's definitely whale vomit. We did everything at home and it passed all the tests."
What tests?
I have no idea if him and his 7 kids have got some sort of laboratory in their house or anything. The clumps also had squid beaks in it, which is a sign of it. being whale vomit, Ken, which is a key sign. The dog wouldn't leave it alone. And a guy at the Citizens Advice Bureau in the labs agreed that it's whale vomit. It ticks all the boxes, so I'm confident. I've got no problem getting it tested too before I put it up for auction. Ronnie from Fife was walking on the beach on July 16th with son Alfie, 5, when he made the find. He said, me and my son took a walk on the beach almost every day. He accidentally stood on it looking for crabs, and it squashed under his feet. Kinda like wax. I picked it up.
As you do.
And I kinda knew what it was. But I thought, there's no way I could be this lucky. I left it and continued our walk. But someone told me to go back and pick it up. Wait a minute, if you instantly thought, how could I be so lucky? Why would you then leave it and go back? Ronnie, who is unemployed, then took the clumps home. He said he carried out several tests, including using a hot needle to see if the waxy substance melted. The clump also smelt like horse manure, which Ronnie claims is another key sign of whale vomit. Or horse shit, maybe. However, an expert at Ambergris Europe says this is sewage grease. A spokesman who was sent photos says it's degraded oil from water waste, sewage grease. This material is a very common human pollution on the beaches of the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. Despite this, Ronnie still believes he has real ambergris and he wants to sell. He added, I'm going to put it up for auction eventually. It'll be a life-changing amount of money for us. Fishermen call it floating gold. We don't want to move out the area or anything, but that money would make sure all our kids are secure. It would change our lives. High quality ambergris is said to fetch up £20 a gram, and that could potentially make Ronnie's 2 kilogram haul worth 40 grand. The largest ever find is believed to have been found by a group of fishermen in Yemen in 2021. They found 1.1 million's worth in a carcass floating on the sea. That whale must have choked on its own vomit, I guess. Ambergris is big in some parts of the world, but can cause conflict. So, Ronnie has done home tests using a hot needle to see if it melted. Now, would you do that? Because then that might be like 30 quid he's burnt using that hot needle, just making that little hole to see if it melted. He's wasting his own money. I find it astounding that he's convinced, but experts are telling him, no, it's not. It's oil. But it's whale vomit. I'm telling you, it's whale vomit. I bet his wife was delighted when he took it home. It smells like horse manure.
I love people who are they're so sure, you know what I mean, and they just won't be told. Like, doesn't matter who tells them, experts, professionals, I'm absolutely convinced that this is exactly what I think it is.
No, it's 100%. But he knew as soon as he saw it. Absolutely, he knew exactly what it was, but then he decided to leave it. He's effectively found 40 grand on the beach, and he thought, I'll just leave that. And then he's like, I'll go back and get that, actually. So, but he's done his home test, so good on you, Ronnie. I hope you do sell it. I hope I do read a story in a couple of months' time, a follow-up, that he has sold this for 40 grand.
Yeah, me too.
But I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think he'll be. I don't know if we'll hear from Ronnie again unless he finds something else on the beach. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think so.
That he's convinced there's something valuable.
Yeah. I found this rare snake skin, and it's got some venom in the end as well. The lad says it's just a used Johnny, but I'm convinced that it's for this rare snake that you only get in Africa. Yeah. That's come here to fight.
I've stuck a hot needle in it.
Someone certainly has. That's for sure.
Oh dear.
I wonder if he's got a home lab test for that. Yeah. Anyway, good luck, Ronnie. I hope you get your money.
Me too.
What else have you seen this week?
Well,
Craig?
a few weeks ago, sadly, we lost former Scotland boss and Dundee chanter Craig Brown, and a sports journalist for the Daily Star in Scotland has unearthed or brought to attention a very funny phone-in that Craig attended a few years ago. So I'm going to read it out. So the late ex-Scotland boss Craig Brown found himself at the centre of football's funniest phone-in call ever. Following the news of Mr. Brown's passing, we look back on the greatest football phone-in of all time regarding Brown's supposed failure to select goalkeeper Antti Niemi in his Scotland squad. Brown managed Scotland from 1993 until 2001, during which time he led his country to the 1998 World Cup final, the last time Scotland qualified for the final. But Brown's team selection was questioned during a phone-in on TalkSport as one Hearts fan asked why goalkeeper Antti Niemi hadn't been selected, ensuring one of the funniest ensuring one of the funniest phone-ins of all time. The question surrounding Niemi's inclusion in the Scotland squad left presenter Arthur Albiston confused due to Niemi being a fully fledged Finland international and racking up 67 caps between 1992 and 2007. He's Finnish, replied Albiston before the caller comically argued back. He's not Finnish, he's 28. The viral clip has been viewed millions of times, even by Niemi himself, who's told the Daily Star that he didn't find the clip funny anymore after being sent it thousands of times. He said, "It was funny, of course it was funny, but I thought it must be a wind-up. I thought, this can't be serious. Whoever was presenting the programme, I was thinking, don't argue with him, he's obviously not serious." A lot of people bought it, and I still get messages from people every year saying, "Have you heard about this?" I'm like, yes, 1,000 times. And it's not funny anymore. Despite the flawless and convincing delivery, a Hearts fan called Keith revealed himself as a culprit and admitted he didn't actually think Niemi should be in the Scotland squad. He was just out on a wind-up. But the incredible story goes full circle after the prankster and Niemi have actually met and spoke about the call. Niemi revealed, "I actually went and we spent Christmas a couple of years ago with a family in Edinburgh and I went to a Hearts game."
Wow.
He said, a guy came to me before the game and said, "Have you heard about this call?" And I said, "Yes," thinking, here we go again. But he said it was me. But he said to me it was actually his good friend who made the phone call. And I actually spoke to the guy who made the call over the phone. He explained to me that it was just a wind-up. He never thought it would go through, and he kind of got scared afterwards thinking, oh my god, what have I done? It was a good joke, but it was never meant to be that big. So it's a funny story, but not true. Do you remember that when it was in the news? I sort of vaguely remember it being in the...
Yeah, I do. It's such a famous clip, but yeah, I remember that at the time. And I've heard it so many times. Constantly, it's played, I think, a lot of times on Off the Ball.
Yeah.
And I've heard it mentioned a lot. But yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just he's finished. He's still finished. He's
28.
28. Fantastic.
So sad news about Craig Brown. He was a real character. So
it's funny you've mentioned that, because when you said I've got an article about Craig Brown from the Daily Star, I thought it was the other article in the Daily Star that I'd seen, which I've pulled up. It's not my second news story, but it was the headline is Craig Brown earned Shagger nickname as Scotland boss. Bear in mind, this is about 3 days after he'd passed away, and they're printing this. And it just goes into the detail, and there's 2 paragraphs that are just fucking hilarious. So it starts off, former Scotland boss Craig Brown was once given the nickname Shagger by the Tartan Army. You could tell they were delighted with this little section. During his spell in charge of Scotland between 1993 and 2001, Brown was caught playing keepy-uppy with 3 women in 1999. The busy bedhopper managed to satisfy his partner of 2 decades at the same time as romping with a teacher and a nurse. And then it goes into detail, but I remember that when he was caught.
I remember.
Shagging about. But that's brilliant. I mean, very sad loss about old Pa Brown. He was he was a great man. Absolutely wonderful man, and sadly missed, and an absolutely fantastic Scotland manager, and a pretty decent Aberdeen manager for a little period as well.
Yeah.
Effectively saved us from relegation. So he was he was very well thought of. And then even when he left the position as manager, he stayed on as club ambassador until effectively the day he died.
Yep. It's always one of the bittersweet things when a character like Craig Brown passes away. So it's obviously very sad that they've passed away, but it's good when all their old peers and friends come out to tell all the funny stories and share their memories and things about the time they spent with them and stuff.
Yeah. God bless him.
Anyway, that's my second story this week. What's your next one?
My next story comes from the Glasgow Times this week, Greg. Well, in fact, today, actually. I won't give away the date because it'll give away how early we're recording this, because, of course, you're going away on holiday, so we're banking a few episodes. But let's just say we're still in kind of the middle of July, effectively. So from the Glasgow Times, a Rangers fan who threw a missile at a police car has been banned from football matches for 8 years. Mark Cumming, 25, was told by a sheriff that he cannot be trusted to attend games following his third ban. Cumming formed part of a group of Rangers diehards, the Union Bears, outside Ibrox on September the 17th, 2022. He threw a boiled sweet at a police vehicle during a mass disturbance after a match against Dundee United. So not a missile, a boiled sweet. He initially told officers he was not part of the group, but during a search, he was found to be wearing a Union Bears t-shirt. Cumming and his twin brother Dean were branded by another sheriff as a disgrace to Rangers Football Club. In 2016, after they ran onto the pitch following the Scottish Cup final against Hibernian, which I doesn't mention in this article, but they lost that. So that's why they probably ran onto the pitch, because they lost that to a last-minute goal. Anyway, Cumming of the city's Easter House was stated to have acted in an aggressive manner towards the opposition fans at the time. He pleaded guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to this latest charge of breach of the peace. The court heard that police were alerted to a large-scale disturbance involving the Union Bears on Broomlin Road at 4:50pm. Prosecutor Ryan Diamond said, "The Union Bears are understood to be a football casual group who are known to the police, who regularly engage in disorder and violence with rival fans and other Rangers fans. Around 50 people in dark-coloured tracksuits, many wearing scarves and hoods to conceal their identity, were noted at the scene. Officers attempted to contain the group. Cumming was seen to jump into the area and throw an object on the front offside window of a public order carrier. He tried to make good his escape, running north, but was tripped up by an officer and taken to the prone position and arrested. Cumming was taken into custody and he denied any knowledge of the Union Bears. I mean, come on, denied any knowledge of them. However, whilst he was being searched, he was found to be wearing a t-shirt bearing the words, "Union Bears, no surrender." He later admitted to being part of the group. Douglas McAllister defending told the court that, it was very similar to previous convictions from 5 and 6 years ago. The lawyer added, he described himself as being mildly intoxicated, which is no excuse. The missile he threw was a boiled sweet from his pocket. Officers should not face this during their employment. Cummings was fined £450 and tagged for 245 days, keeping him indoors between 8pm and 7am, as well as the Lantley football ban. The Sheriff Valerie Mays said, "If you breach this order, there will be only one outcome. You committed these offences, and after only a couple of months after your previous football ban came to an end, you simply cannot be trusted to go to a football match." So, I mean, it's a bit extreme. He threw a boiled sweet at a police car. However, obviously it's not his first offence. It's not his first bon rodeo, or it's not really a boiled sweet, is it? A bon? No, it's not. But it's not his first rodeo. So yeah, it's fair enough. But Jesus, 8-year ban. He won't be, Christ, Rangers will go bust again before he gets to go back.
Yeah, they're called something else. Like their third name. I remember when I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before, but before I moved to the Middle East, I was helping my friend out working at the Hard Rock Cafe in Buchanan Street in Glasgow, and I used to get the train back and forth. And one Sunday, it must have been a cup game or something, but like Rangers and Celtic had played that day. So I finished work about 5, and I was walking up to the train station. It was absolutely tilting down with rain, like absolutely chucking it down. And there was, I guess, one of the drains was blocked because there was one of these sort of Dynarod companies there, but they were called Holmasters. So they're there doing their work because one of the workies is sitting in the front seat of the car, and the young Rangers fan, he's pretty pissed. He comes up and I see him walking over to the van and he chaps in the window. The guy winds his window down and says, "What is it?" And he says, "I'm a Holmaster and all." The guy in the workman's like, the workman's like, "Very good, son." Winds his window up, and the young guy's like, "Yes!"
Probably gets that every day. Who do you name your company Holmasters?
Well,
You're just asking for it.
they're obviously masters of unblocking holes.
Yeah, I know, but you're just asking for it if you're calling yourself that. Hole masters, Jesus. I mean, I tell you, we'll be speaking about a hole master later on when we come to what we're going to be talking about later on today. But, Jesus, you're just asking for
We
it
definitely
there.
will. I mean, like, it's funny because like sometimes things like that are you see some things like that out here. Whereas if you saw some like Hole Master, like it might be a bit sort of tongue in cheek because it's a memorable name. It's maybe been chosen to be evocative. But here in Dubai, I was walking on JBR a few months ago, and there is a new ice cream stall, and it's called Gobble Me Good. Me and my colleague, who's also from Glasgow, were walking along laughing like two little bloody schoolgirls at it. So it's hilarious.
I don't know if I've ever told you or mentioned it. There's a wrestling podcast I listen to, and they often have people write in. And there was a famous wrestling angle back in like the 90s where this character, the gobbledygooker, was hatched out of an egg and wrestling. And there's someone that regularly phones into that show, and they use the nickname Giza Gobbledygooker, and it makes me laugh every time.
That's funny.
I saw a photo actually. There's a new burger restaurant opened. I think it's somewhere just outside Amsterdam, and genuinely they've used the name. This was the name of the burger restaurant in League of Gentlemen. Right. And I don't know if they've done that intentionally or if it's just a loss in translation, but it's called Burger Me. And I'm just like, that's brilliant. Yeah. Good on you.
Oh dear.
I remember this scandal. In fact, what do they go by nowadays? You're probably familiar with them, but there was a handyman company in Dubai, and they were very good. It was a British-run handyman company. I used them quite a few times, and they were called Jim'll Fix It. And their van had the big Jim'll Fix It logo. When you rang up and were on hold, they would play the Jim'll Fix It theme tune. Right, and they had radio ads. Jim'll Fix It. Jim'll Fix It. You know, it was brilliant, and everyone knew Jim'll Fix It because it was kind of to target expats, and everyone British obviously knew Jim'll Fix It and was like, oh yeah, use Jim'll Fix It. Oh, Jim'll Fix It. They're brilliant. And then obviously the news story started. The scandal started, and I think they changed their name to Jim Will Fix It. They dropped the theme tune when you phoned up. But I wonder if they're still going or if they're called something completely different now.
I'll have a look. Cue a bit of hasty rebranding after the news breaks.
Yeah. I always wonder about that, like people that have got that name, like not so much a company, but I always wonder, like, you know, back in the early 90s, how many people in the UK were probably called Fred West? And then had to be like, are you taking the piss? Their names, I'd like to go for a job interview. What's your name? Fred West. Fuck's sake. You're going to have to change it there. Anyway.
What is it about people from Glasgow causing chaos with confectionery? Because we know somebody from Glasgow.
We do indeed, yes.
Who claims to have caused a bit of chaos with confectionery.
Yeah, it certainly does. I don't think we'll go into that though. But yeah, you're right. It's quite a
west of Scotland, a west coast,
a lot
west
of trouble.
Scotland thing.
It must be, there must be something. I mean, that's like something you would read out of Scots Watch, you know, the boiled sweet thrown at the car. Maybe that's where you got the inspiration from. We saw Jack getting pelted with morning rolls and donuts, so he thought, I'll throw a boiled sweet at the car. Never mind. Oh well. Okay, have you seen anything else in the news this week?
Nope,
Greg?
that's your whack.
That's for whack. Okay. Right. Well, before we go into what we're talking about on the podcast today, let's have a little word from our sponsors. And our sponsors are Doric Skateboards, a skateboard brand created by Gary Kemp, whose main focus is to explore the people and culture of Aberdeen and the northeast of Scotland, to create designs that reflect life in that area. Doric Skateboards screen print their own decks in the studio by Gary's fair hand, and they produce some amazing designs over the years, including an Annie Lennox inspired board, a Robert the Bruce deck, and a plenty of pop deck inspired by the old Bonnecord trucks that used to drive around Aberdeen delivering fizzy drinks. Doric Skateboards also replicate these amazing designs onto their clothing on 100% organic cotton tees, hoodies and sweatshirts, and you can fill your boots on stickers, pin badges and beanies as well. And baseball caps as well, I've just seen these added. Gary regularly collaborates with local artists to ensure he brings latest designs to the market, but always with a Doric twist, including his latest design, the Northfield Tower design. So check out Doric Skateboards for yourself on doricskateboards.com and follow them on Instagram at Doric Skateboards to see these amazing designs for yourself. And we are delighted to be able to offer you 15% off as listeners to this podcast. All you need to do is head to doricskateboards.com and have a look at the amazing decks, stickers, badges, hoodies, tees, and everything else on offer, and enter the promo code SWALLY. That's SWALLY, same as the name of this podcast, all in block capitals, and get your 15% off. That's doricskateboards.com.
So even though his name is Gary Kemp, it's nothing to do with Spandau Ballet, but to cut a long story short, it's true, his products are gold. Yes!
How long have you been sitting on that?
Just a few minutes. I was trying to see if I could kind of crowbar in across the barricades as well, but I think that was the only three I could think of.
It's through the barricades anyway.
It's through the barricades, yeah.
I know my Spandau Ballet.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg. So it was your choice on the podcast this week, and I joked to you earlier that I was going to probably have to do a lot of editing on this episode because we're going to be talking about some rude things. However, little did I realise, going to have to do a lot of editing to cut out your cat, or your pussy, I should say, maybe for sticking with the rude things. However, it was your choice this week, so why don't you tell us what we're going to be discussing on the Swally today?
So, celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, which it doesn't seem that long ago since it came out, I've chosen the movie Young Adam, based on the novel by Alexander Trocchi, directed by David Mackenzie and starring Ewan McGregor, Peter Mullan, Tilda Swinton, and the lovely Emily Mortimer. It tells the story of Joe, played by McGregor, a young drifter working and living on a barge with a family, and he basically shags every woman that he comes into contact with. Every single one.
Every woman. Every single one.
So, now I remember when this movie came out, and I was living in Glasgow at the time, it was quite anticipated. It was quite a highly anticipated film. And, like I've mentioned in the podcast before, I used to, I don't really know him anymore, but I used to know Rory McCann, the actor. And we knew that he was going to be in this. My flatmate and I, who was actually better friends with Rory, he knew him a lot better than I did. So we're quite keen to see it. Not that keen that we went to see it at the cinema, but we watched. We got the DVD out. We got the DVD out of Blockbuster or whatever when it came out. And poor Rory's only in it for like blink and you'll miss him, you know. And then he gets killed off screen. So I remember my flatmate just not enjoying it and actually just sort of giving up halfway through and going to bed. I persevered to the end, and I remember not really being that blown away by it because that was the only time I've ever watched it until watching it for the podcast today. And watching it in 2023 as opposed to 2003, I actually enjoyed it a lot more. Do you know what I mean? Not for the reasons, I can see your eyes widening, not for the reasons that you're thinking.
How long have you been home alone now? By this
maybe
point?
That's why. Well, maybe some of the reasons that you're thinking, but no, I did genuinely enjoy it for the right reasons. But what about you? Had you seen this before?
No, first time. I was aware of it, and I knew who was in it. I knew Ewan McGregor was in it. But I think I often get this and Perfect Sense mixed up, and I hadn't seen either of them, but I know they're both by the same director. They both star Ewan McGregor, and kind of thing. So I had never seen it, and I wasn't actually quite sure about the story of what it was. So I kind of made sure I didn't read too much into it before I watched it, so I went in blind. My first note I've written down is, and it could be because my wife's been watching a lot of Friends again recently, like if this was a Friends episode, it would be called The One Where Ewan McGregor fucks every female character and smokes loads. And that's kind of all he does. He just shags and smokes.
And reads.
It seems to be in this film. And eats. Yeah, eats what? Eats Tilda Swinton out on a towpath, yeah? Is that what he's eating?
I didn't say eats, I said reads. He's always reading.
Oh, reads. I thought you said eats. Yeah, he is always reading, yeah. You know something? I like this film and I can't work out why. Do you know what? I've tried to think about this. I actually enjoyed it and I can't work out why I enjoyed it. Is it because I liked all the cast? Because they're all great. Like, all of them are great. Great cast. All actors I like. Really good. Even fucking Jackie from the book group. Jackie and Jackie are both in this. And brilliant cast. Amazing kind of reveal at the end of another Swally favourite that I didn't realise was in this. I was like, the fuck is he doing in this? Is it? I mean, I don't know. I genuinely can't understand why I like this film so much, but I did enjoy it because it is basically just shagging and
Just answered your own question there.
boat stuff, like shagging and boat stuff, and I don't know. It's weird. I mean, like McGregor, I think he delivers a great performance in this. And I know you're not really meant to like the character, I presume, because he is a fucking massive dick. I don't mean his massive dick, but he is a massive dick in this film. And I don't think you're meant to like Joe. And he doesn't say a huge amount either, really. I mean, he's got a couple of slightly longer passages of speech, but he's not a very likable character. But I can't work out why I did kind of like this, but it did have me engaged. And I can only presume it's because I will obviously watch pretty much anything that Ewan McGregor's in. I'll watch anything Peter Mullan's in, and I'll watch anything Emily Mortimer's in as well. You know, Tilda Swinton, I can kind of maybe take her leave at times.
I mean, I remember at the time it was quite a big deal that Ewan McGregor was doing this film because, you know, he'd had that. It was basically like, it was about 7 years after Trainspotting was released. In those 7 years, he's done Star Wars. So he's done 2 Star Wars films, like massive Hollywood films. And then he's sort of come back to his roots, really, you know, like independent cinema. The fact that it's set in Scotland as well, and it's based on a sort of classic kind of beat novel by a Scottish author. It was a really, really big deal. You know what I mean? That he was coming back to do it. It might be the last. Well, I suppose maybe Trainspotting T2 is probably the last sort of Scotland-based movie or production that he's been in, I guess. I can't think of anything since T2 that he's done. But I don't think I think this was the Young Adam was the last one before he did. When did T2 come out? Like 2017, something like that.
I think he did Perfect Sense after this.
I've not seen that. Maybe.
Which is Scottish based
either. Okay. But yeah, no, it was a big deal. And then, you know, Peter Mullan, his star was pretty high as well, you know, off the back of My Name is Joe and Orphans, that he's very much in-demand actor. And then I don't think I had seen Tilda Swinton in anything before this. She's you know, she's quite eccentric. She was married to the artist John Byrne, so artist and playwright, who's quite an eccentric fellow as well. But yeah, she's great at these kind of unusual characters. Like, I always think of her in The Beach, and there's a bit of an irony there, because everyone knows a story about how Ewan McGregor and Danny Boyle fell out because Ewan McGregor expected to be playing the lead in The Beach, and it went to Leonardo DiCaprio instead. So of course there's a sex scene between Leo and Tilda Swinton in The Beach, and then Ewan finally gets his sex scene with her on the barge in Young Adam. But yeah, no, it's I think, to your point, it is the caliber of actors, you know. I was watching a bit of a making of video on YouTube earlier when Peter Mullan was talking about how he came to take the part of Les, and him and Ewan McGregor knew each other quite well beforehand, and he was, you know, so he said, you know, Ewan McGregor actually sent him the script, so he said, I'm always keen to do anything with Ewan, because obviously they'd acted together in Trainspotting, didn't they?
Shallow Grave as well.
Yeah. And then Emily Mortimer, of course. I think this might have been the first thing that I had seen Emily Mortimer in. And her Scottish accent's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Really good.
She is. She's a very good actress.
She even said that when she was asked about it, they said, "Can you do a Scottish accent?" She said she could, but she said, "But I couldn't." I just lied to get the part. But yeah, her Scottish accent's great.
So to kind of talk about the story of the film. Obviously, it's Ewan McGregor character Joe. That we open with him seeing this body on the water, and then he kind of fishes it out. Well, actually, it's Les, Peter Mullan's character, that has to fish it out because Joe's not able to. And you get this weird dynamic between the three, kind of Joe, Les, and his wife Ella, Tilda Swinton, and their son. They all live on this little barge together. I mean, what do they do on the boat? Do they just, it's like fuel and coal and oil drums, I think, later on, that they're kind of just going up and down and just transporting and
they're basically just
selling.
They're basically just moving stuff from one place to the other. There's a bit of an exchange later on in the film when Ella, played by Tilda Swinton, says that once the fuel crisis is over, all this stuff will be getting moved again by trucks.
Yeah.
So I mean, where it's filmed, like around like the Fourth Canal and stuff, I'm quite sort of familiar with, because the canal goes through Kilsyth, where I lived when I was a kid, and it goes all the way up to Falkirk, all the way up to Edinburgh. That's the canal that I fell through the ice into when I was a kid. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My father was trying to demonstrate the dangers of walking on the ice by having us walking on the ice. And then he wanted to show me how deep the canal was by trying to like smash a stick through the ice that we were standing on. Luckily, we were near the edge and we were able to scramble out. And it wasn't too far to walk back to the house. I mean, it's all quite. I mean, the thing is always a note that I've made. Well, what struck me watching the film today, the film is set in the late 1950s in Glasgow. Now, when they recreate, or as they've recreated the time, there's a lot going on the screen. There's quite a lot of the old-fashioned buses on the screen. A lot of extras.
Yeah.
They've obviously managed to find some streets in Glasgow that are perhaps a little unchanged since, or aesthetically much the same as they were back in the time, and it feels like there's a lot of money on the screen. Did you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think there was a huge amount of expense spared. It does seem that they've gone to a lot of effort to kind of recreate that feel, and it's weird because it does feel like it's a late 50s, but almost doesn't as well, if that makes sense. Like it kind of, I'm not a big fan of films
stuff.
Effectively pre-60s. Like I'm not really a big fan of, and it didn't take me out of it. I didn't really feel that I was watching a film set in the 50s, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's your attention sort of taken by the way of life that they live. Ella, Les, and Joe, and the wee boy on the boat. A lot of the film is just the routine of their work. Like loading the barge, unloading the barge, working the locks on the canals. Having a meal, having a cup of tea. Going to the pub. It's like it's just having sex in the towpath. It's a lot of
just regular stuff.
Yeah, but really routine stuff. It's the thing, like the whole pacing of the film, it's I think in other hands it might come across as a little slow, but I think it's more of a patience that it has. You know what I mean? It's just lets things unfold. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. I didn't actually think at any point that, God, this is slow. It's because you're kind of absorbed, and I put that down to the actors. I'm happy to spend time with these guys. I'm happy to watch. I want to know what's happening. I also think it's maybe partly the fact that this film is, it's told out of a linear way. It's out of sequence. And I love films that are out of sequence. And I think that really helps with demanding your attention, because you have to pay attention and you have to think, right, when's this? And there were a couple of points at this film that I'm thinking, right, when is this, before or after? Okay, right, no, got it. And it creates this really uneasy feeling because you kind of know what's going to happen, but you just haven't put all the pieces of the puzzle together yet, and you haven't quite worked out, like, okay, so how does that happen? So where's this? And I think that's why it didn't really feel slow to me, and it kind of grabbed my attention as such, because you have the mundane life of them on the boat, but then it obviously turns out that Joe and Ella are shagging behind Les's back, and that's just, you're wondering, how long's this been going on? And is that the first time when they did it on the towpath? Because I'm not sure, because he's making advances towards her. And that wasn't what I was expecting initially, because when she's looking at him kind of suspiciously when they're taking away the body that they have fished out the water, I'm thinking, okay, does she know something that, that we don't? as such? Does she think he's guilty of this? He's done this. But as it turns out, she doesn't, because the body they fish out the water is Kathy, Emily Mortimer's character, who was Joe's girlfriend for a while. And although he didn't kill her, she fell into the water when he was there. And that's kind of the as the story unfolds, you're finding out these parts and through kind of flashbacks and through little bits and pieces. So it wasn't until that happens I genuinely thought at the moment, what's happened? He's obviously, has he killed this woman? Do they know? Did they do it together? Is it some sort of sex game gone wrong? But yeah, it's did she not want to lay on the towpath with them? Did she not get an egg? What's going on? That's
the thing. Like at the beginning of the film, they got just after Joe and Les have sort of fished Kathy out, and the police have taken the body away and everything. And Joe comes down. They're already eating, and I sort of get the feeling that she doesn't like him. She doesn't like him. She doesn't trust him. But she says he said, can I get an egg? And she says, there's no eggs. She said, I forgot to buy eggs. But then he sees that there's a little bit of egg yolk on Leslie's plate, and you're thinking, why? Because when the story moves back, it's not, you don't really realise at first, so when he meets Kathy when he's thinking back to when he meets Kathy for the first time, there's no sort of sign that this is a flashback. I just think, he must have a day off and he's gone for a walk on the beach. You know what I mean? And then, you sort of see the beginning of their relationship, and then you see the very end of it, like the end being her falling into the water. But then there's some other flashbacks that are out of sequence as well, when he's thinking back when they're sharing the flat together, and there's the scene when he humiliates her with the custard and stuff. They go to that most romantic of places to make love under a lorry in the gravel.
Now, we'll speak about the sex scenes later on, but that was one in particular that I was like, this isn't erotic to me. All I could think when I was watching that is that just looks painful with all the gravel. And then I did think, don't get me wrong, if I was single and Emily Mortimer asked me to reenact that scene, I'd happily spend the next day applying Savlon to my knees and thighs because of all the gravel burns. But it just didn't look very erotic to me. It just looked quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't think none of the sex in the film is particularly erotic, really. It's sort of portrayed as being a bit sordid because of the sort of clandestine nature of Joe and Ella's relationship, and it leads to him having a bloody knee trembler in an alley with Ella's sister. There's nothing erotic there. And then he ends up with his new landlord's wife in the last act of the film, and there's just nothing very. It's all a bit sordid because that with the exception of, I guess, the scene under the lorry, that they're not supposed to be having sex. That he's not supposed to be having sex with these women and all the other encounters. It's because he's behind someone's back or whatever. I don't think it's meant to be erotic as such, though. I think it is meant to be portrayed in that way. What gave it away for me is that scene you've just said when he is shagging Ella's sister Gwen in an alleyway, taking her from behind. And for part of that scene, a lot of the focus is on his half-smoked roll-up that is just sitting on the ledge of the alley, and it's not even half burnt down by the time he's finished. In fact, Gwen picks it up and takes a drag out of it, and that shows to me how sort of perfunctory and how just quick, and it's not meant to be an erotic kind of thing. It's kind of, in a weird way, it just shows sex as just apart from one scene in particular, which we'll come on to, he said when he humiliates her. I can't work out if he rapes her or if she's going along with it with the custard and ketchup and stuff, but it doesn't make the sex seem appealing at all. It's just not nice. At one point we see a fly land on Ella's tit, and it's a close-up of just a fly in her nipple. Talk about taking any erotic feelings out of a scene.
by seeing that. So I wonder if that is done on purpose for this, to show kind of the, it's not meant to be, you're not meant to be enjoying
sort of
this.
less the Red Shoe Diaries, more the Tackety Boot Diaries. You know what I mean? It's and then with Joe himself. So I was sort of going through the film thinking, well, is he a bit of a sociopath? Because he doesn't seem to care about anybody, like at all. Like when young James, Ella and Leslie's wee boy, falls into the canal when he's trying to get a bucket of water and it sort of drags him in. He dives in to get him, and even when they're sort of standing at the side of the canal and Ella's got a towel around James and everything, there's just like, she's very emotional and Joe isn't at all. And then it's not until towards the end of the film when he feels like, it looks as well, it doesn't look like Daniel has been wrongly convicted of murdering Kathy, that he tries to do something sort of redeeming. He can live with sleeping with other men's wives behind their back and ruining marriages. He can live with his ex-girlfriend falling and drowning in the canal, to the point where he even burns her picture and everything and throws a mirror that she gave him away. But someone getting sentenced to death for a crime that nobody committed, it was just an accident, is what he can't live with. You just think if he can live with all those other things, that he wouldn't be that bothered about what was going to happen to this guy.
Yeah, that's very true. I thought it was made very clear that he's a complete sociopath. It's summed up for me in the scene towards the end of the film where he meets Les for the first time and he's thrown his typewriter in the water, and Les, what did you do that for? Oh, I've no use for it. Yeah, but it must be worth something. Not to me. And that shows just complete disregard for anything, be it a typewriter, be it a human being, be it people's feelings. When he goes up to speak to Les after they know they've been caught having the affair, he's just kind of like, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. It wasn't meant to happen.
I'm sorry, Les. It just happened. It was nothing personal against you.
I should kick your fucking head in.
I won't fight you, Les. Hit me if you think it'll make you feel better.
And what about my son? Did you think what was going to happen to my son while you were fucking my wife?
It wasn't like that.
What was it like, Joe? Tell me, what was it like?
Look, I'll get my stuff. I'll leave you to sort it out with Ella.
It's her fucking barge! I'll go.
There's no feeling of guilt. In fact, that is one of the best scenes of the film, I think, when they wake up. They've had sex, then they've obviously maybe had a little snooze, then Joe does say, I better go because Les will be back in a minute, and Ella says, no, you'll be a while yet, and then she wanks him off. They obviously fall asleep again, and then they know they can hear Les upstairs, and rather than panic of, oh shit, what do we do? They just lie there, kind of discussing, right, well, he obviously knows, right. And then Joe has a fag, and before he decides to go up. And you're like, wow, just the relaxed, casual manner of this. You've just ruined this man's life.
Yeah, and you feel for Les because, he before he finds out, he obviously wants to have a relationship with Joe. You know what I mean? Like in the sense, they're friends. In his mind, him and Joe are friends. Come on, we're going to a game of darts. Do you want to come to the pictures? Do you want to go? Will we go to the fair? And everything. And even when it comes out. And Les kind of confronts, or Joe confronts Les really to apologise and try and sort of smooth it over. He's angry and upset, but he just kind of walks away from it, And the scene when he comes. Yeah, the scene when he comes back to get his stuff is it's just, he's kind of just talking about the case and everything. He's the last thing he wants to talk about is what's going to happen next between him and Ella. He's talking about, I've been asked to go and be a witness. They only needed one of us, all this kind of thing. You know, you feel really sorry for him because he's sort of, you know, he's probably, like, him and Kathy are really like the only two sympathetic characters in the film. But then Completely. You know, Kathy sort of degrades herself a bit with Joe before she dies. You know, like, Ella's, you know, she's not very nice. She's not even very nice to the wee boy. You know, she's really impatient with him, and she's impatient with Les, and, you know, you start to see it coming out again with Joe, and as soon as it does, he's like, let him away. You know, he's fucking moving on, find another landlady to rattle.
I mean, I'd written that down, that I felt really bad for Les because he does seem to really like Joe. I mean, he takes him in, gives him a job. It's exactly as you said, he's always asking him if he wants to go to the darts, wants to go and to the pub, go to the pictures, fun fair. He's, you know, the scene where they're covered in dirt and it's Les that's washing Joe's back and cleaning him and, you know, making sure he's clean first. When they're having it share a bath, he's letting him go first and have the bath first. He's a genuinely nice guy and genuinely kind. Okay, he likes a drink and he's maybe got a little bit of erectile dysfunction because of that. So Joe's got to step in and service Ella. But like a really nice guy and just kind of like an enthusiastic, you know, he's in the pub and reading the paper and saying to the guys, we found the body. He keeps going on about it, you know, we found the body. But you would. Yeah. That's the reaction you would have when you're in the pub. And, she was naked. I love that when the barman's like, when he's reading it out, you know, just in a petticoat. You said she was naked. As good as. It was translucent, you know, you kind of, it was good as naked.
There we are. The body of a dead woman was found in the River Clyde early this morning. The woman was wearing only a thin petticoat. So far, she is unidentified. Police are investigating.
I thought you said she was naked.
The same thing. These slips are transparent.
Les, I've got a bit of a headache. I'm going to head back to the barge.
What about the game of darts?
Another time, eh?
Just a really nice character. And I think that's part of what they do. You do feel bad for him. Like when he sees the fun fair and he's like, do you want to go? And he's so excited, you know, and when he's showing James, James, the son, or Jim, the son, Jim, sorry. When he's showing him, you know, about the kind of rolling the coins down the thing, you know, and he's like, I always win, I know how to work this. And he's just such an enthusiastic, lovely character. And that's why you're like, Joe, you're a fucking dick for doing this to him. You know, and he just wants to sit with his wife and his kid, play his guitar, have a drink, go to the fair and enjoy himself.
I mean, do you think these guys, I mean, imagine that these old bargemen, you know, it probably was a relatively common thing to find a dead body in the water, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. I'd imagine so, yeah. Especially the Clyde, I would have definitely
Because he keeps saying the stiff, which makes it sound like it's not the first time he's encountered a dead body, you know, or it's bravado, you know, I don't know.
No, I think it's kind of in the opening scene when you see Joe's obviously struggling to fish her in, and we know later on obviously why he's probably struggling. But for Les, it's just like not second nature, but you know what I mean? He just kind of, it's like, give me here, and he pulls her in, gets her up. And to be fair, it is Joe that's like, well, you better cover her. Maybe Les is wanting to have a look through the translucent nightgown. Yeah, and then he's obviously, you better call an ambulance. It's a bit late for that, I think. You know, would you not just call the police? But yeah, eventually they turn up.
Yeah, it's so I think probably we should talk about Emily Mortimer. So, I mean, was and is a fantastic actress and beautiful woman. You know, like I watched her being interviewed when she's talking about this film, and you know, she's like, it's not every day that you get offered a part like this. She said that, you know, the scenes and things with Ewan, you know, and like she said the scene with the food and everything else. She said they're great scenes to do, you know, they're great scenes. She's like, you know, they're great scenes to act in, and it's not something that you get, you know, that you would get offered every day, you know. But yeah, she's really, really good in this, like really, really good.
Why is she sitting alone on the beach? On her own? That she is, and I'm going to talk about the character Kathy, but obviously Emily Mortimer. In that opening scene when you see her sitting on the beach, she is so beautiful, and there is not a chance in hell she would be alone there without a swarm of guys around her. And obviously she sees Joe and the kind of flirting glances before he goes over, but she is far too good for him. Like, why is it that all these women just succumb to, what is it that Jo has? It's just some sort of magnetic power, but she is immediately kind of, smitten, it would seem, and they go for a walk. But she's far too good for him. She's got a good job. She's obviously a popular and beautiful woman.
Yeah, but
what's she doing hanging about with this loser for?
I'm sure when after when her body's been identified as being her, I'm sure when Les is reading the article, he says sometime actress. Is it Kathy Digby or something like that, or I can't remember her second name. He says sometime actress. So that's something that they don't really talk. You don't really hear before or after, because when we see her and Joe's relationship starting to come to an end, she's working in an office, and when they reconnect, when he bumps into her, she's still working in the same office, and he's obviously been trying to pursue some kind of alternative kind of lifestyle. He wants to be a writer, but he can't seem to do it, so he makes custard instead. He talks about going to China, going to see China, and when she finds out that he's taken this quite sort of banal, basic job, she's like, I never thought that you would be joining the working classes. He doesn't want to have kids. He says how he doesn't like kids, how he feels like kicking Jim off the boat every day and all that sort of stuff.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
No, I'm not saying that. It's whatever you want, right? But for the time that the novel's set, it's quite an alternative lifestyle. Whereas she's obviously been a participant in that, but has since come round to just sort of craving a bit of normality. Like getting married, having a family. But the fact that she wants to marry him when he's like just easily like incredibly dysfunctional, and she can obviously see that she can see what's wrong with him, but she still loves him regardless and still wants to be with him.
Yeah, she's obviously smitten with him, and I guess she's okay kind of to let him go really when he says he's going to China, but then I guess she, in the period between that and between the time they next meet, she obviously finds out she's pregnant, and I guess that obviously changes her feeling for him, and then they end up having sex under a truck, and then she falls in the water. Now, I know that they allude to it on 2 occasions prior to that she can't swim.
Yeah.
When they meet on the beach, she says, I don't swim. And then when you see them in the rowing boat, she says, I can't swim. But surely, I can only presume when she fell in, she hit her head on something, but there's no ledge or anything because there's nothing. There's no flailing, there's no screaming. She just falls and that's it. Drops like a stone and nothing. Now, surely you would, even if you can't swim, you will still get your way to the top and you're not going to just sink like a stone.
Maybe she's supposed to have been sort of caught by an undercurrent or something like that, because that can happen, right? And I don't know, just sort of pulled under.
I don't know, I just found that a little bit unbelievable. Well, the water looks quite calm, doesn't it?
But Nikki, do you remember the old public information adverts you used to get about water and stuff? They can, don't go swimming in the quarry. There can be strong undercurrents, lurking under the water, pull you under. There could be like cars, like old rusty cars and stuff under there that you snag your swimming costume on.
Safes full of
you know something? I've made a note of that, like, because there's a lot of there's a few shots of the bottom of the river, bottom of the canal, of like Joe's stuff, his typewriter, and I thought, how good would it be if there was like a safe full of pornography and condoms here?
I thought about that as well. I did write that down. Kind of the most feeling you get out of Joe's character, I know we're speaking about Emily Mortimer, but it's when he is effectively explaining quite near the beginning when Les, Ella, and they're on the boat, and he's speaking about in graphic detail what this woman might have been going through, and undressing on the bridge and jumping into the river, and the level of detail, staring at Ella the whole time that he's delivering this speech.
I think she went to a bridge fully dressed and stood there breathing the warm night air. And she took off her jacket and folded it neatly on the ground. And then she unbuttoned her blouse. And then undid her brassiere. Let it drop down on top of the other clothes. And she'd unbutton her skirt and let it slip down over her hips. And then she'd unroll her stockings and hold them out so that they blew in the breeze like pennants before she let them float off into the night. She'd shiver and ask herself if she really wanted to go through with this, and she'd answer that question by kicking her clothes into the river. And hurriedly now she'd take off her garter and her knickers, and there she'd be, standing in her petticoat, thinking about whatever it was that brought her to this. And then with her petticoat billowing around her, she'd drop into the water like a rose and float there for a moment and be gone.
And that's when I thought, okay, because before then we obviously didn't know his relationship with Kathy, the woman. And that's when I was like, okay, so he definitely knows her. There's something happened, and I'm convinced he's killed her. But of course, it turns out he didn't kill her, but he just didn't help her, arsehole.
Well, he does sort of make a kind of half-hearted attempt. He sort of calls after her and he looks, he can't see any trace of her. So he just throws her clothes in and runs away, you know?
Yeah, but he jumped in the river to help a little boy that he's openly admitted he would happily kick off the boat. But he's not going to jump in to, I mean, I guess, I don't know how he would get out again, but there must be a ladder there. It's a dock. There would be ladders to get back on. Like, I literally live on a dock like exactly the one in the film, and there's ladders everywhere to get back up, so he would have been able to.
Yeah, you think so, but I suppose, I don't know, I suppose it needs to be the way it is for it's a plot device, I guess, right? What to do? It's the other thing in this film is the soundtrack is written and performed by David Byrne from Talking Heads, who comes...
How did they get David Byrne?
You know, David Byrne was born in East Kilbride. Yeah, but he moved to America as a little boy. But he's got Scottish connections. So.
But how did they get David Byrne to compose a soundtrack for Ewan McGregor's sex tape? Effectively, like... It's incredible. But yeah, I was very surprised when I saw that David Byrne did the music. And I was like, wow, really? The David Byrne? It's not like a...
David Byrne from Clarkson.
Some guy from down the road? Yeah, but no, it was the David Byrne. Yeah, I was very impressed with that. Very impressed. Incredible. Obviously, there's a lot of nudity in this. And I did read a review that said apparently there was quite a lot of... The media was surrounding Ewan McGregor's full frontal nudity. And one review I read said, well, but this isn't the first time that he's done full frontal nudity.
No.
I don't know, it probably isn't the last time either. However, it is the first time that he had done full frontal nudity since he'd played Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think that's why it was a big thing, because he's playing, a kid's beloved character, and here he is getting his wang right. Now, genuinely, the scene where they're lying in bed and Tilda pulls away the blanket, that penis shot is a jump scare that I would compare to anything in any horror film. It's like Hereditary, Blair Witch, anything. Because you're like, oh, there's a Bobby. It's it just leaps out at you, and it's right there, right in front and centre. You're like, oh my God, oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, there's his cock. Oh, okay. And it just lingers there, doesn't it?
Uncomfortably. Yeah. It lingers there uncomfortably, like Tilda Swinton's unshaven armpits.
But lots of nudity cram-packed in here. And I did read that in the US, it got an N17 rating, but the only scene they demanded be taken out in order for it to get that rating is the scene where he goes down on Ella on the footpath, because even that kind of, you don't see anything. That's the thing, he just has his head between her legs, but the fact they were depicting oral sex in that way was not allowed.
By the canal.
It's okay to have the full frontal nudity, it's okay to have fly on boob, and it's okay to have the scene that we'll probably come on to next, the custard and ketchup, and is it brune sauce or chocolate sauce? HP. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I thought it was HP, that sauce, that scene, it's okay for that, but you can't have a guy putting his head between a woman's legs.
Well, I mean, the Basic Instinct has Michael Douglas putting his head between Sharon Stone's legs.
I don't know. American Pie has a very similar scene of the guy putting his head between Tara Reid's legs, so I don't understand, and that was like 2001. No, that'd have been earlier,
90s,
wasn't it?
think,
American Pie, 19... Yeah, so I don't know why that wasn't allowed, but maybe it's because... I don't know. No idea.
No, I know. Like, but apparently they were the American censors were going to cut quite a lot of the nudity and sex scenes out. But Ewan McGregor demanded that they be left in. Or else the film would have probably been about fucking 10 minutes long.
He used the power of the Force to. You will not take out my penis.
Yeah.
This is not the penis you are looking for. Okay, so the kind of probably the most uncomfortable sex scene is involving Kathy and Joe. And as we said, it's when he effectively covers her in custard, ketchup, HB sauce, some sort of
Flour.
sugar
Flour or something.
Flour.
Yeah.
And then I genuinely couldn't work out if Kathy is laughing or crying during this point, because I mean it's uncomfortable to watch. You know, he's raping her, but
Well, he beats her first.
is she laughing? Is she crying? I don't
That's
know.
the thing, because he sort of beats her first with a stick, doesn't he? He kind of puts her over his knee, and it's
Of
not
course.
clear whether
Yeah.
she's sort of into it, because some people are into that, apparently. What Emily Mortimer said about it, she said, there's something really liberating about letting it rip and just going for it. There's no way in real life you'll ever be allowed to get up to all of that. I mean, unless you were really into kinky stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be, if she's just being submissive or if she's into it or what. But it's it's if you had any sort of doubts about Joe before that scene, then I think that's the scene that really hammers home that he's sort of narcissistic, just into self-gratification, taking what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's an arsehole, because then he just leaves her
goes out.
there, lying in a mess, goes off to the pub, presumably, comes back, and she's cleaned everything up. She's in bed, and then he just gets undressed and gets into bed, and she does kind of cuddle into him, and I'm like, okay, she was okay with what just happened then, getting covered in custard and then getting full of his custard. It's not, I don't know, I just find that quite uncomfortable.
No, it is.
That scene, I wasn't sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Peter Mullan did say that I saw an interview with him like on the red carpet, and he did say that he did the role because he really liked the cast, and as you've alluded to before, but he said he was disappointed that he didn't have any sex scenes. And then I was like, well, you kind of did. We did see one through the little slats, but you couldn't finish the job.
Yeah, I saw him on that thing I watched as well. He was saying that like Ewan has sex in the film, Tilda has a lot of sex, Emily has a lot of sex. I don't have any sex because I'm impotent. So the other thing that's discussed in that little short doc about the making of this film is that it's not clear why the film is called Young Adam, because there's no characters called Adam in it. But the cast all had theories. So one of the Ewan McGregor said he thought it. Sorry, not Ewan McGregor. Peter Mullan said he thought it might be to do with Adam and Eve, like original sin, etc. But the most surprising theory came from Jack McCone, who plays young Jim. So apparently when they were all sitting around talking about it, he said, well, maybe young Adam, maybe Adam is the name of of Kathy's baby. And all the cast were like,
Okay.
But Tilda Swinton thinks that Alexander Trocchi just called it that just to sort of bamboozle people and get people talk.
I genuinely thought you were going to say the young actor said maybe that's the name of Ewan McGregor's cock.
Young Adam.
I presumed it had something to do with a Bible reference, and maybe because something about, exactly as you said, about sin and sins of the flesh, and that there's a lot of nudity. I don't know. That's what I'd kind of gathered from the naming. But yeah, it did strike me odd. I did kind of write down, there's no Adam in it. And there's no Adam, but there is a Ewan, and Ewan Stewart pops up as the unfortunate boyfriend, Dan, of Kathy, who's just come round to fix our plumbing in more ways than one, and ends up finding himself getting sentenced to death by hanging. That's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it's you're sort of hoping that he gets that he sort of is found innocent, right? He's clearly maybe not the brightest person, but he's a father of 2 or 4. Can't remember what it was. This is him now. He's kids are going to be left without a dad and everything, and he's not really done anything wrong, because like it's just he said that all he ever did was go on walks with her, and she even says when she's telling Joe that she's met this other guy, and she's like, you know, he's nice, but it's not going to work out because he's married, and you know, I don't really like him like that, you know, and stuff. So you do wonder, well, is Dan just got a bit of an infatuation, and she's obviously a bit vulnerable. She's just come out of this relationship with Joe, who's, you know, not a good guy. You know, you get the impression that he's intelligent, he's intellectual, he reads all the time and stuff, but yet, you know, like this poor guy Dan he appears to be sort of the opposite of that. You know, he's a tradesman, he's a plumber, he's a family man, he's a normal guy, you know. Yeah,
because they say, even in the courtroom, when they do say about the signs of sexual activity, and he looks horrified. He's like, no. And I do wonder, exactly as you've said, Kathy says they go for walks and stuff. It maybe just a friendship. Like it was, you know, maybe they both, well, he maybe wanted more, but he hadn't had the chance to yet. But it does sound like, yes, he was effectively cheating on his wife, emotionally probably, but I don't know if there was any physical relationship there. But yet they found fibres of his clothing under her fingernails and stuff. But then I don't know, obviously maybe they meant to, because obviously the technological advancements weren't as far now, so maybe they just mixed up or something.
Well, the thing is, like, they say that the fibres could only have come from his clothes, but they do seem, but they also seem like it's not like certain, it's not guaranteed, but, you know, it would be unlikely, but, you know, it's just, it's sort of circumstantial evidence, right, that they're using as to sort of condemn him.
So it's hanging an innocent man.
And like there's no, like I say, like the film ends and there's no redemption really. Like, you know, there's no redemption for Joe. There's no happy ending. He just sort of gets on with his life.
He got one of those earlier from Ella.
It's a film full of happy endings for Joe, but it's just not the happy ending that he wanted. You know, it's the last sort of 3 films we've done, including this one, have all been like evocative films. You know what I mean? They're films that you think about and find yourself reflecting on and stuff in your quiet moments. You know, I don't that wasn't by design. It was, you know, going from like the Scott Squad into harrowing drama of For Those in Peril, into confusing sort of kind of period piece almost of Late Night Shopping, into harrowing erotic drama, erotic with a small e, of this one. So goodness knows, I have to find something a bit more lighthearted for the next one, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And you do think when Joe's towards the end, when the court case is coming up and he's left Ella and he goes into the pub and he meets Stuart McQuarrie's character, who I don't know if he's ever
Bill.
Named, actually. Bill, sorry, as his new prospective landlord, and you need to come home and meet the wife. And my first thought is, how long is it before he pumps his wife? Oh, the first night. And, you know, it does not hang around at all. And you're like, for fuck's sake, can you not just give it 24 hours or something? But no.
Keep young Adam in your pants. You know?
Keep young Adam in your pants.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, because like all the way in the first sort of half of the film, when Les is reading out aloud the paper, reading aloud from the paper about the case and everything, and Joe's always like, I'm not interested. And then when it comes to the trial, he's obsessed with it. It seems, you know, he's watching the case, he's watching the sort of the drama in the courtroom and stuff. You know, it's weird, you know, is he just sort of feigning disinterest when Les is talking about it to try and sort, in case somebody should connect him in some shape or form, or does his fascination with it grow the more he thinks about Kathy and he's reflecting back about Kathy? Don't know.
Yeah, possibly. It's a very good point. I think it is because he feels guilt and because he's reflecting back. He's always looking in that mirror and he's always thinking, but then at the end he throws it away. It's almost like, well, it's done. Is it because he doesn't want any reminders of it at all, because he's just seen an innocent man? He's tried to do the right thing. If he really wanted to try and do the right thing, he would have shouted in court.
Or handed himself in or something.
Said, as he's been sentenced, but he hasn't. So I think that's maybe why he's thrown the mirror away in the end. I do think it's because he didn't want to know anything. But then because once Les goes, he's the one that's kind of, to be fair, Ella comes back and says they've arrested the guy for it. And then he's invested in trying to find out and looking at stuff. So maybe it is because now they've found someone. And he does kind of almost say to her, like, but maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he didn't. You don't know what happened there. And it's almost like at that point, I thought, is he about to confess and tell her that he was there? But no, obviously he doesn't.
Well, he does say, he says, I could tell you what happened. And she just sort of ignores them. She's like, she's not interested really. She just thinks that he's, I don't know, that he's overreacting or whatever. Have you ever been in court? Like,
yes, once for jury duty. Yeah, but I've never actually been up in front of a judge or anything.
That's not what I meant. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, I've done jury duty, and when I was studying journalism at Aberdeen College, we spent a morning in the press boxes in the court, and it's nothing like what you see like on films and TV shows. You know what I mean? It's like boring. It's hell. Yeah. It's all procedure and routine. There's no like dramatic revelations or outbursts or monologues or anything. It's fucking boring as fuck.
Yeah, I would agree. I've watched a couple of trials. I mean, remember the O.J. Simpson trial, being broadcast live. That was quite boring, like, for a lot of the time. So yeah, it is all very kind of just general shite. It's not full of the objections and lots of wig wearing. No. It's very administrative.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Okay. What, any other points on young Adam, or shall we put him through our Swally Awards?
I can't say young Adam, but I just now thinking of Ewan McGregor's cock. I wish I hadn't said that. I think that kind of covers everything. I mean, it's a very, like I say, I did enjoy it, but I'm not sure why. I still can't work out why I enjoyed this film. I can only presume it's because of the actors. And there's not a couple of reasons I can think I enjoyed it, but I think it must just be the actors. Like it's, they do deliver great performances, and it is a good film, and I would recommend it if someone said to me, just don't watch it on your own or something. Like, I'm glad I didn't watch this with my wife.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since, I don't know, like, obviously, we touched on it earlier, but obviously because the film's set in Scotland with a largely Scottish cast, and because of where Ewan McGregor was in his career at the time, like, I remember there being a lot of anticipation for this film, and I can't imagine if there was a film to be released now, like a sort of independent film, even with like a fairly well-known cast in it, I think it would just like fall between the cracks, because I don't think there's unfortunately I don't think that there's room for this type of film in the cinema. I mean, I remember going to see like Sweet 16 at the cinema, at the Odeon, like not like at like the GFT, or what was the one called on the one in Aberdeen called the sort of smaller cinema on Belmont Street.
The Belmont.
The Belmont. Yeah. All right. It wasn't, like... I
was waiting for you to dig your... I knew exactly what you meant, but I was waiting for you to say the street it was on. They felt like films sort of 20 years ago, films like this were getting multiplex releases, and I don't think it happens so much anymore. I think it's. No. I suppose. I mean, what I will say is, I went to see Sweet 16 on a Friday night with a girl that I was sort of dating at the time, and I think there was maybe about a handful of us in the cinema. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was everybody turned up for it. Despite the fact that it was a Ken Loach film set in Scotland, it was in Glasgow that I went to see it. It was in the Odeon on Renfield Street. It's just, I don't think it's the sort of thing now that might get made for Netflix or something like that. Yeah. It's exactly what I was about to say. It would be made for a streaming service or something like that. It wouldn't be a cinematic release. I mean, we're recording this on the week of the massive cinematic release double header of Oppenheimer against Barbie, which is going to be kind of the big cinematic juggernauts going head to head. As I've said before, I've got my tickets booked. I'm going to see Barbie tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably watch Oppenheimer, like download it at some point. But you're right, this would be a streaming kind of service thing, and it's amazing. Yeah, it did get a cinematic release, and it won like a couple of Scottish BAFTAs as well. Yeah. I think. Yeah,
it's well reviewed. It's sort of highly regarded, well reviewed. I mean, at the moment, there's like 4 big films out, like the 2 you just mentioned. So you've got Oppenheimer and Barbie. My my children and my wife are watching Barbie as we speak in Glasgow. And then the new Indiana Jones film came out a few weeks ago, and of course the new Mission Impossible movie came out last week as well. So you got 4 massive summer releases all going up against each other. You know what I mean? So where is the space for an independent film about Ewan McGregor shagging his way across 1950s Glasgow? The Central Belt.
I was hoping you were going to say there, so where would young Adam fit into that? And I was going to say inside Tilda Swinton on the footpath. Anyway, okay. You make a very valid point. Yeah, where do these? But we've answered it. Streaming.
Yeah,
this would be straight on Amazon Prime or Netflix or Pornhub probably.
Pornhub.
Like it would just be straight on something like that. So I don't think this would get a cinematic release nice. But never mind. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But yes, let's put it through the Swally Awards. What have we got first?
Okay, so the first award is the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. So, I mean, not short of candidates for this.
No, we're not at all, but I went with Peter Mullan.
Did you? Right. So
that's my choice, yeah.
So I didn't go with Peter Mullan. I've written 3 names down. Let's think about the time. So I've written down Ewan Stewart, because he isn't a lot of stuff.
He was my second choice, yeah.
I've written Rory, and I've written Stuart McQuarrie, because he tends to...
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Stuart McQuarrie does pop up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's a bit of a that guy, isn't he?
It's genuinely when he popped up in the pub, and I was like, oh, it's that guy. Fuck, what's his name? Yeah. And I had to double check, and I was like, of course, it's Stuart McQuarrie. The Christ, we've covered him so many times. But yeah, I mean, it could be any of them. But yeah, you're right. Maybe you and Stuart ahead of Mullan has probably been in more. You're right. Stuart would beat Mullan. Would McQuarrie possibly?
I mean, he plays 2 roles in Trainspotting, doesn't he? He plays Billy Renton and the American Tourist.
Right. Let's give it to McQuarrie, because I think Ewan Stewart's won this award a few times before. Okay. So we'll give it to McQuarrie just so he's got one. Okay.
I would see if he's on Instagram and we'll tag him in. Okay, next one then, the Bobby the Barman Award for the best pub in the film.
There's 3 pubs in the film. There's the pub, the Les, where they go to play darts, but they don't play darts. There's the pub that Joe goes to with Gwen, and then there's the pub that he's in a few times at the end where he meets Bill.
The Black Street pub.
Stuart McQuarrie's character. So the last one would be my choice.
Yeah, me too. The one that he goes to with Gwen just looks fucking dreadful. And bizarrely, table service in a pub. That was weird, right?
Yeah, I was quite surprised at that. Yeah, I'm sure it was just a plot device to ensure that the photo of Kathy fell out his wallet. Yeah. So then we could later see him burning it. But yeah, table service, and it's just like a wee nip, and no, never happened.
So the next one is the Jake McQuillan Your Teazoot Award. There's no violence in it.
There is, but the violence is really towards Kathy, I would say, which I don't approve of in terms of spanking. There's a couple of little bits. You know what I'm like. I always like to put something for every award. So I put for Teazoot Joe being on his own at the end and feeling guilty and throwing away the mirror. But then I was like, is that a Teazoot? Because you know he's going to end up getting his hole that night.
Make himself feel better.
Off of some woman. Yeah. So is it really a Teazoot? You know, he feels bad for, half an hour, and then he's going to go and meet someone and end up shagging them. So I don't know. There's not really anything. I did think, I had my notepad ready when they confront on the top of the barge and Mullan kind of races towards him. And I'm like, here we go. Going to be a punch. But no, he doesn't even hit him. So no.
Next award then, perhaps this film is the reason why we have this award, the Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. So I've given it to 4 people, given it to McGregor. To McGregor, obviously, Emily Mortimer, Tilda Swinton, and Bill's wife, the landlord at the end, because there's especially her, because there's that scene when he comes in and she's just giving herself a bath in the window do you know what I mean, with a sink. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, because it's gratuitous nudity, and a lot of the nudity in this is needed because of sex scenes and stuff. And okay, you're right. The Bill's wife just having a bath, is bad. I gave it to Auntie Gwen answering the door with her tit hanging out because she literally answers the door to her sister and a child and to Joe, and her boob is hanging out. And I'm like, really? So I went with that for gratuitous. Because I'm like, okay, there's no need for that.
No,
there was no need for Ewan McGregor's cock scare jump. I didn't need to see young Adam like that. But for her to answer the door with her boob hanging out, I know she's recently been bereaved. I know she is missing Rory's banana. But there's no need to answer the door with your tit hanging out.
Indeed. Okay, next then, the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. Not a great deal of swearing in this film, really.
There's not. There's a couple... I think the kid calls Joe a bastard.
Well, I know it's not gratuitous, but I picked that one because I just liked it. He goes like, say hi to Joe, Jim, bastard. maybe smile. Where'd you go for?
I went with Les in the top of the barge because he does have 3 in a row. And he does say, I should kick your fucking head in. You've been fucking my wife. And then when Joe says that he'll go, Les goes, it's her fucking barge. And I thought 3 fucks in a row. But yeah, that's it. There's that in the bastard. And I think that is it in the film, which I guess they had to keep the language down so they could keep the tits in.
So they could keep young Adam in. And then archetypal Scottish moment.
Fishing a body out of Clyde.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, when I worked at Frankie and Benny's on Paisley Roads, like the restaurant backed onto the Clyde, and not regularly, but on more than one occasion, we saw the police removing some poor soul that had fallen in or thrown themselves in. So yeah.
What did you go for?
I sort of struggled a little bit with it, but what I chose in the end, there's a shot of Ewan McGregor sitting on a bucket. And it just reminded me of our Willie. So I thought, was a good one. So, and then lastly this Sean Connery Award, who won the film for you?
Young Adam. I genuinely don't. I've put Emily Mortimer because she kind of did, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, Ewan McGregor's great in this, but I can't give it to him because he's such a dick. I put Peter Mullan. And then I put Emily Mortimer, but then Tilda Swinton is great in this as well. But I don't know who to give this to because they're all arseholes apart from Emily Mortimer and Peter Mullan, really. But I don't know who wins it. I'll give it to Tilda Swinton, I think, actually, because she does deliver a great.
She's brilliant. Yeah, she's really good. Yeah, and but what I like about her, like what I mentioned earlier, is that she sort of comes across as a bit of an eccentric sort of person, and she's playing somebody who's a very traditional sort of character. Do you know what I mean? Like Ella, she's sort of hard-working housewife. Well, the only difference being hard-working housewife on a barge. So not only is she a housewife, but she's also working on the barge as well. She mentions that she's grown up she's lived in the barge like her whole life, and she's great. She's great. I mean, I'd written down Ewan McGregor / Mullan, and I just think Mullan's just fucking great in everything that he's in. But I mean, like McGregor, the reason that I would maybe sort of err toward him is that he is in every single scene. You know what I mean? Like there isn't a scene that he's not in. You know what I mean? He's almost always on camera. Almost always on camera.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, he is. Yeah.
So I mean, I've not read the book, but I may read it when I'm on holiday. I don't know if it's written in the first person from Joe's perspective or not.
It is. Right? Yes, it is. And it's quite a manic read by all accounts.
Right. I mean, Tilda Swinton says that the film is very true to the book in terms of the sort of the themes and the feeling and everything of it, and the story. So yeah, I'll maybe give it a read when I'm on holiday. I mean, Alexander Trocchi seems to have been quite an interesting character as well. Apparently, like a heroin addict for pretty much his entire adult life.
He was. Yeah, died of pneumonia. I believe,
he couldn't get his books published in the UK, so a French publisher said he would publish them as long as he put like a sex scene in every 20 pages.
I believe. Yeah, they were published as effectively as pornography. The books. So
anyway, that was Young Adam, which was my choice, which means that it comes back to you for the next episode. What am I watching when I'm on my holidays?
Well, Greg, I think enough time has passed now so we can discuss what I'm going to pick next time, because it aired on the BBC a few months ago and I didn't want to spoil things and put that out there, but I'd like to wrap things up. So I'd like to catch up with Max and Jake and see what they're up to and look at the third series of the wonderful BBC Neil Forsyth written drama, Guilt.
Cool. Yeah, well, this is the last one, right? I think he said this will be the last one. So,
yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, I look forward to that.
Yes, it is the last series. And this will be, I think, this will be a first. This will be the first time we've done a third series of something on the Culture Swally. I think we've done 2 series of Guilt. We've done 2 series of the book group.
Yep.
I think that might be it, actually, that we've done 2. So this will be the first time we've done 3 series of something. So we will, So it's available on BBC iPlayer, and I don't know, Andy from Finland, it'll be available in Finland probably in about 2 years' time, because I know you only got the second series when the third series came out, so I'm sorry about that. But if you're back in the UK and you've watched it, or get a VPN, and you can watch it on iPlayer and be able to see it there. So yes, so series 3 of Guilt on the next episode of the Swally that you can watch on your holidays, Greg.
Cool.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to get in touch with us with anything you've seen in the news you'd like us to cover, or any like a film or TV series you'd like us to look at, then you can drop us a line on cultureswally@gmail.com and just drop us a line to say hello. We don't mind. Just, feel free. You can follow us on Instagram at cultureswallypod, or you can follow us on Twitter at SwallyPod. And Greg, we have a wonderful website as well, don't we?
We do. You can find us at cultureswally.com. There's links to all the episodes, including this one, and articles about Scottish television, a little bit of an essay about the Crankies. So come over and give us a bit of traffic.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, everyone. You up to anything exciting with the rest of your day, Greg?
Although it's 10:30 at night here, so I think I'll be retiring for the evening pretty soon.
Okay, that's fair enough then. Fair enough. Well, have a wonderful time in Scotland, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for our next episode of the Culture Swally. But I will see you probably in 2 weeks' time in Amsterdam, or 2 and a bit weeks' time. But I'll see you for recording in like a month's time.
Exactly. Cool. Until next time, whatever time it is.
Till next time.
What did you do that for?
I had no use for it.
Must be worth something, though.
Not to me.